Hello everybody and welcome to the Cheryl Technology Channel. My name is Chris and I'm your host today. And in this one, yes, you see it on the screen, we are going to be doing a deeper look into Red Hat or RHEL, Red Hat Linux specifically, and the Red Hat Overlord, as some would say, little puppet hands and stuff. If you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ, reach out to me in the comments and let's just get right into this. So in our last video, you saw that we ended up talking about how a lot of people are criticizing Red Hat with their decisions they're making, and a lot of the decisions they're making are somewhat, I believe, like on the edge of being bad. With that said, I want to look at both sides, right? I want to look at it from the community source or side, the point of view, and Red Hat's point of view. And so, without further ado, let's get right into it. So basically, I wanted to look at a lot of the comments that Red Hat is making. Now, this, who wrote this? Mike McGrath wrote this and has been heavily criticized for this. Now, I really have a problem with the way he says this. Okay, so let's look at this from their perspective, right? They are RHEL trying to make a distribution that is enterprise ready. They spend a lot of money on this. I know they do. The developers that they have working for RHEL. What's interesting to me is that with RHEL, I get it from their side. Like, they're saying that they want Red Hat to move forward in a good way, in a positive way. The problem is there's a lot of people out there that are criticizing them because of the GPL license. Now, this guy says that a lot of people don't even understand the GPL, and I would beg to disagree because of this. There are 4 things. These 4 things govern the GPL, and this is version 3. Now, I don't know what version they're going through, but the GPL is one of the most important documents in open source because it guides you into the value of open source. With his things, I mean, we contribute our code upstream. They're contributing Red Hat up into Fedora. So Fedora, well, that's what they're saying. Fedora basically feeds RHEL because Fedora is where they throw all the updates and stuff on, and then that gets funneled down to RHEL as they find things that are reliable. Now, RHEL is they go on a 10-year cycle. That's a long-term time, man. And you figure for that 10 years, they have people maintaining it. I get what they're saying. They're saying that they want it to be innovated, not replicated. And I really say that with enthusiasm. We don't want them to replicate. We don't want to replicate what's already there. We want to innovate on top of what's there. So you don't want to build it again. You want to build a better version of it that has added features and more reliability and stability and things. I think for those kind of things, it's to the point to where we got to do something, right? We've got to do something. And I get that they're wanting to do this. And so let's just read this part right here. I want to read this specifically. I felt that much of the anger from our recent decision around the downstream sources comes from either those who do not want to pay for the time, effort, and resources going into RHEL, or those who want to repackage it for their own profit. This demand for RHEL code is disingenuous. Now, what is it about RHEL code that makes it so special? That's the real question. I agree with this. We have to pay the people to do the work. They do. But at the same time, how many distributions do you know of that is doing all of this for free? How many developers are there out there that are working on this in their spare time and they're doing it for free? And these people are getting mad about it. I don't really understand that, but I do agree with this. I do want to pay for it. I do pay for open source. I don't pay for RHEL specifically, but I do give money to open source. And the problem, I can say something because I do give. What bothers me about them is it's sort of like they've become this shining standard on the hill when they're not, because technically Fedora comes before RHEL. So I don't know what makes RHEL code so special. I don't know what it is. I know it's built off of Linux, so Linux is free. That was designed by Linus Torvalds back in the 90s, and I just don't understand what they're saying here. Do they want us to bow down and worship them? I'm not going to do that. You know, I think what they have done is they're trying to move Linux RHEL forward, but I think they're trying to do it in the wrong way. And I think they've ticked a bunch of people off. And so when I start to look at a lot of the things that I'm seeing right here, they're saying that they don't need anything downstream anymore. They have no desire to do it, and they can make that decision. The problem with a lot of what they're doing is it's kind of spitting in the face of the people who's worked on it. I mean, I am right here. Ultimately, we do not find value value in RHEL rebuild, and I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree that it shouldn't be a rebuild of RHEL. It should be something different. And we are not under any obligation to make these things easier for rebuilders. This is our call to make. That brings me to CentOS Stream, of which there is immense confusion. Now let's find out what this confusion is that he's talking about. I acknowledge that this is a change in long-standing tradition where we went above and beyond, and change like this can cause some confusion. I don't think people are confused. I really don't. That confusion manifested as accusation about us going closed source. Technically it is. It's still technically open source, but if you read this, the freedom to use the software for any purpose, you can, but it's locked behind a wall. You have to create an account, a developer account. The freedom to change the software to suit your needs, well, that depends on if RHEL wants you to or not. The freedom to share with your friends and neighbors, now that is not it. Based on that one line alone, it is not open source anymore. But we're going to keep reading because I want to understand. That confusion manifests is about alleged GPL violations, which we just read in this line right here. There's CentOS Stream, the binary deliverable, but it is not RHEL. Hear me again. It is not RHEL. And CentOS Stream, the source repository, is where we build RHEL releases. Yeah, it is, but it's not RHEL. In the open for all to see, to call RHEL closed source is categorically untrue and inaccurate. Is it though? If you're hiding it behind a wall, my question is, why are they so secretive with it? I have used a bunch of distributions that are better than RHEL. I literally have used better ones than RHEL. CachyOS is a great example of that. Cachy is one of the best distributions I have ever used in my entire, since I've been using Linux. That one right there is very special. It is excellent. It is very good. And it's built off of Arch. So take that how you will. Now, so CentOS Stream moves faster than RHEL, so it might not be on head, but the code is there. If you can't find it, it's a bug. Please let us know. So this is what we also provide: no cost Red Hat developer subscriptions. I believe they did that to appease the people. That's what I think, but I don't know that for sure. They wanted to make it available, but they built it behind a wall. So I don't know. This is hard to say, but it bothers me a little bit. Simply this line right here, I absolutely agree with. Simply rebuilding code without adding value or changing it in any way represents a real threat to open source companies everywhere. This is a real threat to open source, and one that has the potential to revert open source back into a hobbyist and hackers only activity now. That's how it started though. That's how it started. So I'm a hobbyist. I like playing around with it and seeing what I can do with it. We don't want that, and I know our community members, customers, probably don't want that. Innovations happens in the upstream. Building on the shoulders of others is what open source is about. Let's continue to drive innovation, supporting one another, and keep moving forward. The problem with this, so I agree with them in some aspects. I agree with them. We don't want rebuilding code. This part, I agree with this. You want to innovate. Look, what if Glorious Egg Roll, that guy that built the Proton GE, what if he would have said, no, I don't want to do it. I'm just going to build something that's like everybody else. See, but he didn't. Proton specifically is a great example of what creativity and open source and ingenuity can do. And I absolutely am amazed at how well it's getting. Like when I played Warzone, y'all saw the video. It was a few videos back. I played Warzone in GeForce Now, and it was almost like playing native. It was that close. It is so close, it's ridiculous. Now, it wasn't exactly the same, but it was darn close, and it looked better. So I at this point, I do agree with them that we don't want to keep building RHEL lookalikes. We don't want to do that. We want to innovate. To the community side of things, this one's going to be hard because it's all based off of the GPL. The problem with Red Hat is they are now a corporate entity, and trust me, Veronica, man, that lady right there, she does excellent videos, and I just want to give a shout out to her because she provided some clarity when I was looking for some clarity and couldn't find it, because most people were calling RHEL angry and evil and all kinds of darn stuff. It was insane. But what I ended up finding out was that RHEL is doing things that are kind of spitting in the face of the community. So Red Hat started with a bunch of hackers and stuff, and it started that way, and it was that way for years, and you had people developing it and making it better, and now they're closed. Now they just kind of shut the doors. This is what I feel like has happened. They have kind of closed themselves off from the open source. They leave a little hatch over in the corner for the open source people, but in reality, they are an enterprise organization doing enterprise organization things. Trust me, I work for one. I know. And it's not always good. They made this decision. I don't know why. I mean, I know they have to pay all these people. Well, what about the ones who rely on donations alone? CashOS and a lot of the other ones that don't have the funds. Zorin OS, I bought a full license from them for $50. I bought it because I support them. I paid for Cashy for a few months because I support them. I do believe I understand what they're saying. What I think people are mad about is the fact that within open source, it's sort of like you're putting a restraint on people. That's the way I see it from the Red Hat perspective. I see their side, but the open source community, I believe, is right in this aspect. That we cannot call it open source and restrain people, because that's what you're doing. In reality, that's what you're doing. You are opening a little door over there in the corner of your office and saying you can come through here, but you can't come through the big door. That's what it looks like to me. And so this part right here, this third one, freedom to share with your software with your friends and neighbors. I am not a developer, so I will probably never do this unless I decide to develop one day. But in reality, the beauty of open source is that you can share it with everybody. See, if you release it under this license, the GNU GPL, when you release it on that, it says it will be free and stay free software no matter who changes or distributes the program. See, that's what's interesting to me, is that the GPL is the deciding factor based on the freedoms that a user should have based off the original GPL. This one makes it not go by the GPL anymore, because you're not able to share it with your family and friends or your neighbors. They give you the right to use it for yourself, but that's it. And so for me, that alone breaks the GPL. That alone breaks the GPL. It's simple. It does. And for Red Hat to be arrogant and say that, okay, so here's the question. The question I have for Red Hat is this: what makes your software so much better than everybody else's? Your distribution, I have had two problems now, and I saw it was in two versions. I saw it myself. One of the problems was that when I would try to type, and I've said this before, whenever I would try to go update something and I would open up the terminal, I'd start to type, I'd hit enter, and it would lock the screen and take me back to the sign-in screen. It did that for a while. I was shocked. I was like, wait, what? Is this? Are you serious? And so I thought at first, I'm like, well, man, maybe I did something wrong. But in the end, it wasn't me. I ended up installing a new terminal, and it still didn't work. I was like, what the hey? But what I found is when you can go into a text-only mode, a terminal-only mode. And when I did that, the issue stopped. So it must have been a video problem. Well, that it's an enterprise system. Why is it doing that? Why is an enterprise system acting that way? The other problem I had was that the GPG keys, which I believe is what securely connects you to the Red Hat repositories, the official ones, it would say that it couldn't update. It'd say the GPG keys were wrong. And I made a video about it too. I made a video on how to fix that. The fact that I had to make a video on how to fix something that they should be fixing from the beginning, that's a problem. So tell me what makes Red Hat code so much better, right? I mean, I'm serious. Cashy is way better. There are many other distributions that are better. Now, you may not have access to all the enterprise features that you will get with RHEL, but I believe they're working on it. And Arch is already really good. I think Arch is my favorite. But I think the community is mad because of those things. You're opening a little door in the corner and you're saying all the open source people come through the little door, but everybody else that wants to pay us, you come through the big door. That's the way I see it. From everything that I have seen myself personally, that is what I've seen. And I get why people are mad. I have seen Veronica Explains. She moved all her people off of RHEL, at least the ones she could. Jeff Geerling, shout out to them. Jeff Geerling moved his stuff away from RHEL. You're losing customers, man. You're losing people because you're doing stupid stuff. I mean, open source is built off of the principle that everybody has the right to use it however they see fit at any given time and share it with anybody they want. That's a beautiful part of RHEL, or of open source. But RHEL, I think y'all are taking it a little too far. I would be very weary of doing that. I won't give money to RHEL, and I have my reasons why, as y'all have heard some of them in this video. But I don't hate RHEL. I believe they're a very very inventive company, innovative. They innovate. I believe they do. But at what expense? And that's what I want the conclusion of this video to be about. At what expense are you willing? What are you willing to give away in return for whatever you're trying to get, right? It's like if we give our time, we get something in return, money. What are they giving away? They're giving away, it appears to be open source method and going to something else. I don't know what they're doing. And the problem with that is that someday they're going to look back and think, maybe we shouldn't have done that. And so I want to leave you with that. Is Red Hat the future? That's a hard question to say, man. Based on the things I'm seeing, no is the answer to that question. Red Hat, don't get me wrong, I love y'all. You do great work, but you have got to stop this. You have lost a lot of customers, and you're probably going to lose a lot more, especially if you keep doing crap like this and trying to defend the wrong that you're doing. You don't see that it's wrong. I mean, I agree. Red Hat has done a great job, but they need to quit. Like, man, you need to quit. To call RHEL closed source, I'm not calling them closed source. This is. This part, right, this line right here and this line right here, if we can't take the RHEL code and make it what we want, then it's not open source. It's just that simple. It's flabbergasting to me that this is even a thought, but it's scary to me because now we have to worry about every distribution. I mean, what is Rocky Linux going to do, and what is Alma Linux going to do? Are they going to end up like all the rest of the distributions getting shut down? I hope not, because Alma Linux is incredible. Excellent distribution. And it's built off of RHEL. Fedora is built off the RHEL code. Alma and Rocky built off the RHEL code. All of those. And they're all phenomenal. I believe better than Red Hat. But I still believe they're limited. Arch to me is the best one. I've used Arch many times, and I believe that Arch is the best. Now, for my needs, for gaming and stuff, it works beautifully. Excellent distributions. And everybody, I want to leave you with that. No matter which distribution you choose, make sure that it fits your needs. Now, for some people, RHEL may fit that need, but for me, it doesn't. Cashy fits my needs. But as you can see, I'm running Windows only because of the games. That's the only reason. I can use Linux just as good as I can Windows. I can use Mac just as good as I can Windows. To me, I don't care. As long as it does what I need it to do, that's all I care about. And so I want to leave y'all with that. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this video, like it. If you got comments or discussions or thoughts about this, let me know down in the comments. I'm curious to see what y'all have to say. And everybody, lastly, I want to leave you with this. If you don't know my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, reach out to me in the comments, and I will be glad to lead you to him. And until next time, everybody, thank you for watching this video. And until next time, peace, everybody.